Do wizards really exist? This question has intrigued mankind for centuries. The mention of wizards conjures up images of robed figures, staffs in hand, casting spells and wielding powers beyond our comprehension. A universal fascination, transcending cultures and epochs, the idea of wizards and magic has always been a tantalizing enigma. Wizards, as we understand them, are not just characters in our favorite fantasy novels or films. They are symbols of a deeper human desire to understand the unknown, to control the elements, and to transcend the ordinary. They represent the unending quest for knowledge and power, a quest that has been the driving force behind human progress. But what really constitutes a wizard? The answer to this question is as varied and diverse as the cultures that have conceived them. In some cultures, they are revered as wise men and women, healers and seers, endowed with knowledge of the hidden world. In others, they are feared as practitioners of black magic, using their powers for malevolent purposes. The word wizard itself comes from the Middle English wise, meaning wise. Thus, historically, a wizard was a wise person, someone with knowledge beyond the ordinary. This wisdom was often attributed to a connection with the supernatural, the ability to understand and manipulate forces that lay beyond the grasp of common folk. In the Middle Ages, wizards were often associated with alchemy, the precursor to modern chemistry. They were the scientists of their era, their magic nothing more than an understanding of nature that others lacked. On the other hand, in many indigenous cultures, wizards or shamans were spiritual guides, connecting the physical world with the spiritual, the seen with the unseen. Their magic was a form of communication, a dialogue with the divine. And then of course there are the wizards of fiction, from Merlin to Gandalf, Dumbledore to Strange, who have captured our imagination with their fantastic feats and epic adventures. In this vast and varied landscape of interpretations, one thing remains constant: the allure of the wizard, the enigma that continues to captivate us. Let us embark on a journey through history, tracing the mysterious footprints of wizards. Our quest begins in the ancient civilizations where the first whispers of wizardry were heard. The dawn of magic as we know it can be traced back to several ancient civilizations such as Egypt, Greece, and China. These societies, rich in culture and history, were the birthplaces of the first known wizards. In the sun-drenched lands of Egypt, wizards were esteemed individuals. They were seen as intermediaries, bridging the gap between mortals and the divine. The ancient Egyptians believed that these wizards could harness the powers of the gods, performing miracles and healing the sick. One notable figure was Jedi, a magician of Pharaoh Khufu, known for his ability to bring the dead back to life. Meanwhile, in the cradle of Western civilization, ancient Greece, philosophers who were also thought to be wizards, shaped the course of history. Take Pythagoras, for instance. A mathematician and philosopher, he was rumored to possess magical abilities. His followers believed he could predict earthquakes, tame wild animals, and even command the wind. On the other side of the world, in the Middle Kingdom China, we find a different flavor of wizardry. Here, magic was entwined with the natural world. The ancient Chinese believed in the existence of wizards who could control the elements, predict the future, and speak to spirits. The legendary Yellow Emperor, Huangdi, was said to have been tutored by a wizard who taught him the ways of the cosmos. These early instances of wizardry, spread across diverse civilizations, are fascinating. They show us how different cultures perceived magic and the supernatural. But more than that, they tell us about the human desire for understanding and control, a desire that gave birth to the concept of wizards. From these ancient civilizations, the whispers of wizardry grew louder, echoing through the ages. Magic and wizardry were no longer just whispers, but a language spoken by many. This language, filled with mystery and intrigue, continued to evolve, shaping societies and influencing the world in ways that still reverberate today. From these ancient times, the lore of wizards seeped into the fabric of societies around the world. As we traverse through the medieval ages, the tales of wizards take a darker turn. During this era, the image of the wizard evolved from the wise sage to something more sinister. The medieval world was a time of superstition and fear, and the unknown was often met with suspicion and dread. This shift in perspective cast a shadow on the wizard, transforming him into an object of fear. In the heart of the medieval society, magic was thought to be a dangerous and forbidden force. It was seen as a tool of the devil, used to manipulate and control. This fear was so profound that it even led to the infamous witch trials, where countless individuals were accused of practicing witchcraft and were subjected to horrific punishments. The wizards of this period were no longer seen as benevolent advisors or scholarly hermits. Instead, they were depicted as malevolent beings, wielding their powers for personal gain or to cause harm. They were feared and reviled, their wisdom and knowledge overshadowed by the perceived threat they represented. The medieval mystics were often misunderstood, their practices and rituals shrouded in mystery. They were thought to possess the ability to control the elements, summon spirits, and even foretell the future. However, these skills were not always viewed favorably. In fact, they were often seen as a direct challenge to the church and its teachings. This fear of the unknown, combined with the religious fervor of the time, created an environment ripe for persecution. The witch trials were a dark chapter in human history, a testament to the power of fear and the lengths people will go to protect themselves from perceived threats. The witch trials were not just about the fear of magic, but also about control. They were a way for the church and the state to maintain their power, by targeting those who were seen as different or threatening. The shadow of the medieval period left an indelible mark on the perception of wizards. It was a time of fear and persecution, where the unknown was met with suspicion and the pursuit of knowledge could lead to deadly consequences. But it also served to highlight the enduring human fascination with the mystical and the arcane, a fascination that continues to this day. The shadow of the medieval period left an indelible mark on the perception of wizards. With the dawn of the Age of Enlightenment, the perception of wizards underwent a dramatic transformation. The Enlightenment period, an era when reason and science took center stage, cast a very different light on the world of magic and those who practiced it. Gone were the dark Middle Ages when mystics were both revered and feared for their arcane knowledge. The Age of Enlightenment ushered in a time of skepticism and demand for empirical evidence. Wizards, once seen as formidable wielders of supernatural powers, were now viewed under the harsh lens of reason. The Enlightenment thinkers challenged the existence of magic, arguing that everything in the universe operated under certain laws. They believed that what appeared as magic or supernatural was simply phenomena yet to be explained by science. This new perspective led to a shift in the perception of wizards. Instead of being feared, they were now dismissed as charlatans, pulling the wool over the eyes of the gullible. Society began to ridicule these so-called wizards, seeing them as relics of a superstitious past that the enlightened world had outgrown. The Age of Enlightenment was a time of great intellectual growth, but it was also a time when the mystery and allure of magic were replaced with the cold, calculated logic of science. Yet, despite the skepticism, the image of the wizard remained, albeit transformed. The wizard became a figure of legend, a character in stories and plays. Their magic was relegated to the realm of fantasy and folklore, yet continued to captivate the imagination of the masses. The Age of Enlightenment, while casting a shadow on the belief in wizards, did not completely erase their presence. The wizard, once a figure of dread and awe, was now a symbol of mankind's yearning for the unknown, the unexplained, a testament to the enduring allure of the mystical, even in the face of reason and logic. Thus, the Age of Enlightenment, while casting a shadow on the belief in wizards, could not completely erase their presence. Magic, it seems, always finds a way to endure. In our modern age, the wizards have not disappeared, they have merely transformed. The contemporary perception of wizards is a fascinating blend of legend, fiction, and reality. The arcane cloaked figure wielding a staff surrounded by ancient tomes and mystical artifacts has been replaced with a more nuanced image. The rise of fictional wizards in popular culture has certainly played a significant role in this transformation. From the boyish charm of Harry Potter to the wise and powerful Gandalf of Middle-earth, these characters have reshaped our understanding of what a wizard can be. They've traded in their secluded towers for bustling schools of magic and epic quests, becoming more relatable and accessible to the masses. Yet, they continue to intrigue us with their arcane knowledge and mystical powers, reminding us of the age-old allure of the unknown. But it's not only in the realm of fiction where wizards have found a new lease on life. In the real world, there are still those who claim to practice magic. These individuals, often self-proclaimed witches, warlocks, or sorcerers, carry on ancient traditions and rituals, believing in the power of intention, the energy of the universe, and the potential of the human mind. They might not be casting fireballs or flying on broomsticks, but their practices often involve elements of divination, herbalism, and spiritual healing, which they argue are forms of magic in their own right. Moreover, in a world increasingly driven by technology, there's a poetic irony in the notion that magic, an idea as old as human consciousness itself, continues to hold sway. As we grapple with the challenges of the 21st century, the wizard's quest for knowledge, power, and understanding seems more relevant than ever. In the end, it's clear that while the traditional image of the wizard may be fading, the essence of what they represent, the pursuit of wisdom, the exploration of the unknown, and the harnessing of unseen forces, is still very much alive. And thus, in the modern world, the wizards continue to live, albeit in a different form. Now let us delve into the tangible evidence that suggests the existence of wizards. Throughout history, there have been numerous accounts, artifacts, and texts, all hinting at the presence of individuals endowed with magical abilities. These pieces of evidence, while not entirely conclusive, certainly add a fascinating dimension to the mystery surrounding wizards. Let's start with historical texts. There are countless references to magic and wizardry in ancient literature and manuscripts. One of the most striking examples is the ancient Egyptian Westcar Papyrus, which dates back to the Middle Kingdom. This document contains a series of tales about magicians who could perform extraordinary feats, such as reattaching the heads of decapitated animals. Similarly, the Middle Ages gave rise to an array of grimoires, books of magic that purportedly provided instructions on how to create magical objects, summon spirits, and cast spells. The Key of Solomon, a grimoire attributed to King Solomon himself, is one such text, filled with intricate symbols and incantations. These grimoires were not merely fictional works, but were often treated as authoritative texts by those who believed in magic. Moving on to artifacts, archaeologists have unearthed a plethora of objects believed to have magical properties. From ancient Greek curse tablets to the witch bottles of 17th century England, these artifacts were created with specific magical intentions in mind. While today we may view these as superstitions, they do indicate that people of those times genuinely believed in the power of magic, enough to create physical objects to harness it. Personal accounts too add to the mystery. Throughout history there have been individuals who claim to possess magical abilities. The infamous Aleister Crowley, for instance, was a 20th century occultist who proclaimed himself a wizard and even founded his own magical order. Similarly, there are countless testimonies of people who claim to have witnessed magical phenomena, from levitating objects to inexplicable healings. Moreover, the existence of secret societies and orders dedicated to the study and practice of magic provides further food for thought. Organizations such as the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn and the Ordo Templi Orientis have historically attracted members who were interested in exploring the mystical and magical realms. Finally, let's not forget about the numerous tales and legends that have been passed down through generations. Many cultures have their own stories of wizards, sorcerers, and witches, each with their own unique abilities and characteristics. These tales, while often dismissed as mere folklore, provide a fascinating look into humanity's long-standing fascination with magic and the supernatural. The evidence, while not conclusive, certainly adds another layer of intrigue to the Enigma of Wizards. So, do wizards really exist? The answer is not as simple as you might think. We've journeyed together through the Enigma of Wizards, delved into the dawn of magic, and explored the lives of medieval mystics. We've witnessed the influence of the Age of Enlightenment on magic's narrative and even encountered modern mystics. We've scrutinized the evidence, sifted through centuries of accounts, footage, and testimonies. The confluence of history, lore, and personal testimonies paints a rich tapestry of magic and wizardry that's impossible to dismiss outright. From the witch trials of the Middle Ages to the spiritualists of the Victorian era and the contemporary practitioners of Wicca and other magical arts, the narrative of wizards has been woven into the fabric of our world. However, it's equally crucial to remember that many of these accounts are steeped in mythology, folklore, and superstition. While the idea of wizards might be tantalizing, discerning fact from fiction can often be a daunting task. Skeptics argue that magic is simply a term for phenomena not yet understood by science. They see the tales of wizards as allegories, metaphors, or simply as products of human imagination and fear of the unknown. Simultaneously, many cultures globally continue to hold a firm belief in magic and wizardry. For them, these are not mere stories or superstitions, but a part of their daily lives and spiritual practices. In today's digital age, the idea of wizards might seem archaic, even absurd to some, Yet countless individuals around the globe claim to practice magic and identify as wizards, witches, or other magical practitioners. They offer us a glimpse into a world where the boundaries between the natural and supernatural are not as clear-cut as we might think. So where does that leave us? Do wizards exist? The answer, it seems, lies in the eye of the beholder. It's a question of faith, of personal belief, and interpretation. In the end, the existence of wizards remains a mystery, a question that each of us must answer for ourselves. Do you believe in wizards?